we're in right now, because I find this actually very helpful. So the tools we're talking about are both mindset and action, because these two things always go together, your mindset and your behavior. So that is the game plan here. Okay, so I just want to start by acknowledging where we are right now. I know that a lot of people are at times, I know this is certainly true for me, um, overcome with fear, with the uncertainty of where we are right now, right? And just this, oh my God, like that sense of feeling disconnected. So that isolation is certainly not helping us. Fear and overwhelm and uncertainty seem to be the kind of pillars of what people are experiencing. And I don't want to minimize any of this. And a 1 hour session is not going to fix everything that we're going to go through here. But what I am hoping is that it can help us find these places of strength and some practical tools to use to counteract that kind of maze. It can be, it's a slippery slope, right? Like listening to too much news or hanging out with friends who are also just focused on the fear and that and those worries, that can get us stuck. And that is a huge part of my work, is helping people get unstuck. So that's what we're going to do. And certainly, if as we're going along, if there are questions that occur to you, or clarifications that you're looking for, please put it in the chat. And at the end of the sort of presentation-y thing that I'm going to do, about a half an hour, there's going to be plenty of time for Q&A. So don't be shy about that. And if we get to the end of the hour and I haven't remembered to tell you about the URL that I should give you, bug me about that, because I want to give you a URL at the end, so you can go to my site and get this little download that I think would be very helpful. It's a guide. So there we go. All right, so I promised Hero's Journey and 2 tools, but I want us to start right now with a centering exercise. So if you've got any other windows open or any other distraction going on, I would say shut all that down, because the real point of this is to help us come to center. And if we're going to do something about some of this mindset challenge that we're in, we want to give ourselves a chance, a fighting chance for that. So I hope you're sitting comfortably and that you can really feel your feet on the floor, the soles of your feet on the floor. And all we're going to do together is just take some deep breaths. So I'm just going to count a slow count of 3 in and a slow count of 3 out. And you guys are all singers. You're all way better breathers than me. So I should have everybody else leading me in this. But I want you to really fill up all of your diaphragm, like fill up that whole cavity. So let's go ahead and do this again. Count inhale on over the count of 3, exhale on another count of 3. Here we go. Let's inhale. 1, 2, 3, and exhale. 1, 2, 3. And let's do that again. Here we go. Breathe in. 1, 2, 3. And exhale. 1, 2, 3. Thanks. I always love to do this with groups because it can change not just the feeling in the room, but how I feel too. So it gives me a chance to calm down a little bit. So this is a good starting point to talk about the hero's journey. So how many of you are familiar with the concept of the hero's journey? You want to raise your hands? Some people? Not? Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to go through it briefly. The hero's journey is a concept that explains something common across myths in all cultures, in all times. And it's something that a lot of people found out about through a scholar, American scholar named Joseph Campbell, who wrote a book, a fabulous book, Man with a Thousand Faces. And you can still find his series on PBS online. It's just a wonderful thing. So if you're curious about that. Anyway, Joseph Campbell gave us this idea of the hero's journey, and it's been so helpful, not just for understanding myths, but it's the basic underlying plot that you'll find across all of your favorite movies, um, as well as literature, religions, you name it. There's a lot that's explained in terms of human behavior that the hero's journey explains for us. It's basically it's a way of understanding how change happens, how transformation happens. So I'm just going to talk you through this. This is going to be very familiar if you think about the plot of Wizard of Oz or the Star Wars or any other favorite movie. So I hope you can see what I'm showing you. This is my handy dandy high-tech graphic here. The hero's journey is usually shown in a circle like this because what we're going to depict is the the um, the traveling of our hero around the circle. So the hero starts up here at 12 o'clock. This is our heroine or hero, male or female, whoever it is. It's a main character who sets off on a quest, something that this person wants to achieve or win or conquer or whatever. And usually it's a daunting thing. It's something we're afraid of. We often refuse the call at the beginning, but there's usually a mentor that shows up, someone who helps, right? So for Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz, it's Glinda, right, the Good Witch. For Luke Skywalker in Star Wars, it's Obi-Wan Kenobi, right? So there's usually some figure or helper in that. And what happens is the hero is going to cross this threshold between their ordinary world and an extraordinary world, this unusual place that they weren't ready for, but they're going to have to go through, right? So this is Dorothy, who's getting into to actually the land of Oz. And what I loved in the original, it's filmed in black and white when she's still in Kansas, and she goes into Oz and it's like this brilliant technicolor. It really is an extraordinary world where she's going to encounter, right, friends and allies, but also a series of challenges. And if you think about the magic flute, right, there's a series of challenges, or the ring cycle, there's a series of challenges, and there's a point, which is often called the point, all is lost moment, the point of no return. This is the place in a James Bond movie, for instance, where you think for sure he's going to get decimated, right? You think, oh, there's no way he could get out of this, except it's a series, so he will have to get out of it some way, right? So this is the point where our hero goes, or this main character goes from being a person struggling, to this point is where the transformation happens, where you go from being a main character to being a hero, because this is basically a proving ground. It's a little bit like a death and a resurrection, like the phoenix rising from the fire, right? There's what this explains in our human experience is that when we go through a really challenging period, we come out changed, right? There's something fundamental. And this often happens because we've had to confront something about ourselves or something about the world, but we've had to completely like reframe our understanding of things so that we can then move forward and bring back that knowledge that we've won back to our home, back to home base, where we're basically synthesizing our new self, our hard-won new self, with our regular life. That's what happens in the hero's journey. And I just have to tell you guys, when I've normally done workshops like this, when we're talking about music career projects that people have had, that's the example that we give. You know, let's say it was a performance that you organized, a particularly difficult thing, or you commissioned a new work, right? And you went through this, like you went through hell, right? To do a really good job here. And you realized I was really changed by that. I had to learn so much about myself and about other people. There was getting through all of these difficulties. I'm not talking about the musical or the technical, but maybe all of that other interpersonal stuff. That's how we're changed. And that careers are basically made up of a series of these journeys. That's how we get stronger. The difference here between that is there's the kind of projects, there's the kind of hero's journeys that we choose. It's a project that we said, okay, I'm going to go for this daring quest. I'm going to say yes to this performance. I'm going to, expand my teaching studio. I'm going to, whatever it is, I'm going to set up a small tour, right? Those are career challenges and journeys that we select for ourselves. And what I want to say is we are in the middle right now of something much larger than that. It's a collective hero's journey that we are going through as a profession, right? As the world. It's not just musicians, right? That we are experiencing an extraordinary world that we're in right now. And we don't know what are all of these challenges. What are those dragons that we're facing? Where are we? You know, Austin Kleon, who's a terrific blogger, he has today a post out about being in the belly of the beast, which is a saying that people often use for this exact time. When we are in that like all is lost moment, we don't know where we're going. I'm bringing this up because instead of saying, oh my God, should we all be, scared, we're never going to get out of here? No, the idea here is every time we've hit challenges in our lives, right? It's something you can remind yourself, okay, I've been through a hero's journey before. I know it feels terrible. I know it feels scary and overwhelming. And I know that I'm going to come out of this changed and stronger. And that's this knowledge that at least I have found this very helpful, because I can remember other times in my life where I felt like, oh my God, I can't imagine I'm going to get through this. And I'm giving this to you as a way of you reminding yourself that you have the strength and you have some resilience here. And there is a pattern. One of the best things that I can say about the hero's journey is that it gives me something to hold on to, like a little bit like, okay, I know I'm in the extraordinary world. I've also found some allies, just like, oh, Dorothy has, the Cowardly Lion, right? The Tin Man, the Scarecrow. Those are people who are with her as she's facing all of this, and that she's bringing back something for the entire community when she comes home. And that's how we can be. We have a choice here, right? We can look at our own individual situation and feel scared and sort of want to, hole up under the covers. I get it. I'm not pretending that we should all just be soldiering on as if nothing has changed. But we also need to know that our behavior, even how we're modeling things for ourselves, this has ramifications, right? How we connect with others, what kind of energy we're projecting, how we're thinking about moving forward, and what we're adding to the conversation. This is part of being part of the solution. So that's what I had on the hero's journey. And certainly if you have questions about this, go ahead and put them in the chat. We can get there. Oh, someone asked, who is the blogger? Austin Kleon. His last name is Kleon. Wonderful guy. He wrote the book Steal Like an Artist. He wrote these series of short books that are all like graphic novels, basically. And he's wonderful. He writes a weekly blog that you might find inspiring. So yeah, glad that you asked. What is the name of the book that I wrote? Beyond Talent, Creating a Successful Career in Music. I don't have a copy here. I would show it to you. But the third edition of the book just came out in January, and actually it has a real thread of the hero's journey throughout. So that also might be a good connecting point. Belly of the Beast, is that considered just a challenge? The belly of the beast is a euphemism. It's a idiom for Jonah being in the whale's stomach, right? That time when we're thinking like, oh, I can't escape from this. And it's so a lot of times people think about that in terms of the all is lost moment. And it's not necessarily one event, it may be a period. And I would say that that is where we are now. We don't know how long the quarantine is going. We don't know what's coming. So part of being what I want to say is the uncertainty that we are experiencing now. That's something in, well, actually, let me get right to this. I had two tools that I wanted to teach you guys. And the first one is specifically for dealing with uncertainty. So why don't we try this, right? It's called loss processing. And let me just explain. I'm going to teach you two tools, and these came from authors, and I will tell you their books too. These are two LA-based shrinks, Phil Stutz and Barry Michaels. Whew. Phil Stutz and Barry Michaels. They're two shrinks in LA. They're sort of famous because they've treated, their patients have included a lot of A-list actors, directors, and writers. And the reason people often go to these guys is because they're especially good at helping people get past creative blocks and kinds of challenges that all of us as musicians have faced. And what they created a series of what they call tools, which are like short visualizations and active approaches to shifting your mindset. And what I love about these, and what they often say, is that they developed these because they were frustrated with the typical way most therapy works, which is you dig into your past and you go for years and you talk through all of these things in the about the past, connecting that to the present. But what they were needing and wanting for their patients were practical tools that would help people in the moment. And that is what the tools do. And I have to say, I certainly was skeptical with this when I first heard about these things, but I found them not only really helpful for me, but very helpful for my clients. So that's why I wanted to bring you guys two tools that we could try today. And certainly if it's something that you want to investigate and get a hold of their books, I would encourage you to do it. So the two books that they wrote, the first is called The Tools, ta-da, because that's what they offer. And the second one is called Coming Alive. So yeah, Phil Stutz and Barry Michaels. So let me just explain. These may feel a little woo-woo. That's the technical term, woo-woo. And what I would say about that is, again, if you're skeptical, then you're exactly where I was with this. And Phil and Barry both say, so Frances is telling us that she loves woo-woo. Good. What Phil and Barry both say, you do not have to believe this stuff. You do not have to swallow it hook, line, and sinker. But you want to at least just try it. Try it for a week. See what happens, right? So that's all we're suggesting here. So the tools, a lot of these are based on Carl Jung and the idea of an archetype and sort of symbolism in your unconscious to help you get a sense of how to make a shift. So the point is they're quick tools in the moment that can help you change your mindset, and that gives you a gap, right? A little bit of relief from the maze that you might have been feeling, so that you can then decide, how do I want to move forward? That's the value from my point of view with these. Okay, so let me just teach you loss processing. And you can close your eyes if you like. You don't have to. It's totally up to you. So in your mind's eye, in your imagination, think about something that you are really attached to. This might be something, whatever you choose should be something that you really hold dear and that you wouldn't want to lose. But at some point you might have to. In all of our lives, we experience loss. So this could be like one of those things that you hold on to, like stranglehold. It could be a relationship. It could be a possession that you have. It could be a job. It could be whatever, your life savings. It could be anything that you feel like, oh, I can't live without. So picture yourself grasping, holding on as tight as possible to whatever that thing is. And you might picture yourself on the ledge of a building way up high, or on the limb of a tree. And just feel that wanting, that yearning, that holding on. And the next step is to actually let go. So you're falling, and you picture yourself falling backwards. And what you're going to do is fall into a brilliant sun, huge energy. And this is going to actually, as it would happen, you disappear into that sun. You're basically obliterated, but you're now a part. You're one with that energy, because the sun radiates 360 degrees in all directions. And now you are part of that energy. And you can see around you other suns reaching their rays out to you, and you reaching your rays out to them. That's the loss processing tool. So I'd love to see in the chat what that felt like to anybody. Anyone who wants to share. I'll just say a little bit for me. That tool feels at times, I mean, when you're actually letting go, it's scary, and that idea of falling backwards, not knowing at all what's coming. For me, it's just this reminder that I cannot control everything in life, right? So there's something about that. And then the feeling the energy. So Eileen says grounding, Natalia says emotional. Yeah. Elizabeth says cool. Never thought of it that way. A world of possibilities and connection to the universe. That's wonderful. Elizabeth, I want to say, this time that we're in right now, because of all the quarantining, a lot of us feel disconnected. This is one of the reasons why I'm just glad even to be with you guys now, because that sense of we are one, we are all together in this. So I'm seeing warm and hopeful from Anthony. Natalie is saying it's difficult to not only focus on the sensation of falling. Huh, yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's scary to let go of attachments. Absolutely. This is that concept of non-attachment, right? That yes, we want things in life, we want to move forward, but we're doing this with a kind of freedom, right? The freedom to choose, to do our best, but not to feel like this is the thing that I must have. Julia says, illuminating and warming, quite freeing from Alexandra. Great. Mike says, reminds me of the Phoenix rising metaphor. Feels liberating, like there are new possibilities ahead. Okay, wonderful. I'm so glad. I'm just encouraging you guys to work on these tools, to practice this, especially when you find yourself getting into that hopeless place, which is very easy to do, right? Um, I know a lot of people are facing real struggles right now. And the truth is, what I want to say about this is, I think a lot of this is happening, or we get stuck in it because there's a kind of denial of what's going on. It's like this, 5 stages of grief or whatever. The that that sense of, no, this is so wrong. I know for many days I was waking up, thinking, aren't we going to just find this was all a nightmare and go back to normal? Like, I'm grieving my old life, and our old life was just a month ago, right? So that thing to say, no, I can accept that this is really where we are now, and the clarity that can come from that will help you make better decisions about how to move forward, including better decisions about how to spend your time and your energy today, right? Because that is one of the biggest challenges. I find so many people having trouble structuring their time and staying halfway positive. And why bother practicing, because who knows if there's ever going to be concerts again. I'm hearing this from people. So Julia says, my tendency is to hide from others when I know my mindset is poor. So that connection is key to moving one. Really good, really good, because that thing about, this isn't just my private hell. No, we are connected, and I want to be contributing something positive. So I think that's a really good point. Okay, so that is the loss processing tool from Barry Michaels and Phil Stutz. I've got one more tool that I was thinking could be a good, like a yin and yang tool here. And it's the tool that I often teach clients first, because I would say there's probably the least resistance to to trying this tool. So let's just do this, and then let's open up for questions that you guys might have, all of that. But I want to give you one more tool here, and this one's called Grateful Flow. I don't know if you guys already have a gratitude practice of some kind. If you want to raise hands, if anyone does that. Anybody journal what they're grateful for, like at the end of each evening? It's a really good thing. And yeah, I would suggest having like a special gratitude journal. I keep one on my bedstand, where at the end of each day, I just write down 3 to 5 things that I'm grateful for. And what I find is this not only helps me sleep better, which I know from a lot of my clients now, sleep is not so great, right? But that idea of, okay, I can sleep better because I'm choosing to end the day focused on what went well. The thing that went well for that day might have been something beautiful that I saw outside on my walk, right? It might be a recording that I listened to. It might be a conversation that I had with a friend that was healing. right? It might be the challenge that I'm facing with the piece that I'm working on right now, and I'm grateful for that challenge, right? So that's a good thing. So the idea of the gratitude journal at the end of the evening can not only help you sleep better, it can help you wake up better because you're remembering, oh, there's more good stuff right ahead that you're leaning into that. Okay, so that's just a little preamble, but let's do grateful flow. So once again, close your eyes if you like. That's totally up to you. And what I want you to do is in your mind's eye, think what it is you're grateful for, you're actually grateful for this moment, right? And these, we're not talking about big things like, oh, I'm grateful that I'm healthy, I'm grateful for my home, my family. No, we're talking about little stupid picky things that you might not even notice. Like I'm wearing my favorite green shirt today. I did laundry yesterday. I got clean sheets. Like, you know, these are like basic stupid things. The hot water in the shower worked this morning, right? I had a good breakfast. So when you practice grateful flow, you want to be listing out loud a series of things that you really are grateful for. And you want to notice and really feel that gratitude. Because gratitude actually feels like something in our bodies. Like when it's if it's one thing to just like, oh, I'm grateful for this, that, the other thing. It's another thing to feel it like, oh, I'm grateful for the breakfast I had this morning. And when I start listing these out loud, there's like a feeling I can sense in my chest, like a warmth. So if you get yourself to that place, what we're asking you to do is lean into it, because sometimes I can almost sense that there is like something good in the universe that I'm connecting with. And you can just breathe that in for a moment. That's the grateful flow. Okay, any comments from people? How did that feel? What did you notice? Comforted. Yeah, from Natalia. Yeah. You know, it's funny about this tool. When I first learned it, I was doing it and I would feel that warmth in my chest, like almost like an opening, like I could be more open-hearted, right? But I didn't take that further step of just realizing like the universe is there with something positive, like we can actually lean into that. And that's something that I think, especially now, because it's as if Mother Nature is telling us enough. We have to clean up our acts, right? There's big changes going on. There's so much beauty in the world, and that thing of feeling like we can connect to the positive side of the universe, this positive force out there, and move forward with that. That's a good thing. Yeah. Good. I'm hearing that people are already doing gratitude a bunch, which is great. My body released tension and a smile started to creep across my face. Yeah, it's like involuntary, right? It's like, woof, when you feel this. Anthony says, it's good to recognize the little things we need to be grateful for. As classical musicians, I think we tend to focus on imperfections rather than the good things. Absolutely. I think it's kind of the way we were trained, and it's that also that kind of weird competitive stuff that happens when we're in school. It's like in the grand scheme of things, none of that crap matters, right? So, Emma says it grounds you in the present better than a lot of other things. Oh, that's a really good point. I don't know how many of you have a kind of mindfulness practice or do some yoga or visualizations. That's a really good thing to do. And I find, especially first thing in the morning, having a routine that will ground you and set you up for the day. This is one of those things that I recommend to clients regularly, because especially now when things are unstructured, the things that we had in place for our lives, and we were supposed to show up at a certain time and get this stuff done, all of that's been ripped out from underneath us. And so it's up to us to create much of that structure. So that is a lot of what I work with musicians on. And it can feel arbitrary. It's like, oh, no, why should I get up at a consistent time every morning? Why should I do the visualization at this time? But what you're doing when you do that is you're setting yourself up in a pattern of predictable productivity and creative thought. It's like, I'm going to show up at the same time for the muse, right? I'm going to practice at a certain time. I'm going to reach out to friends, consistently during the week, whatever you need, right? But I would make yourself a schedule, a structure that will help you organize your day, so that this is for all of us. I'd love all of us to reach the end of the evening and to say, whew, I did the scary thing that I needed to do today, right? I did the work. I'm on the path. That's really what we're after. Okay, so that is what I had for you guys. Good job for, participating with the tools and doing all of that. I would love to know what questions you have. Now, there's two ways we can do questions. You can, of course, type a specific question in the chat, and I'll get to that. And there's also, I think there's a Q&A button. Do you guys see a Q&A button?
There's
No?
actually a way that everybody can raise their hands.
Okay. So if you see a thing so you can raise your hand, we can do that too. If you want to talk and not chat, we can unmute you and we can, hear your question that way. It's totally up to you. Okay. So what is the name of the first tool? Anthony says that's called loss processing. And if you go to the two authors have a website called thetoolsbook.com, and they have a blog, and you can look up specific tools. I'm pretty sure you can look up the loss processing tool. I think there's a separate one to do there, but yeah. So glad you asked. Other questions? Oh, Elizabeth's got her hand raised. Elizabeth, are you on? I don't know if I can unmute.
Yes.
Oh, yay.
Hello.
Hello.
That was wonderful. Wonderful to meet you, first of all.
Great, thanks. Do you want to turn on your video so we can be face to face?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, here I am.
Oh, great. Nice to see you. Glad you're here.
Nice to meet you too. I'm at this point. I've been at this point for a while. I've been very impatient because, I did all the right things. I've studied, I've done opera studios, I've done masters, I've done productions, but I never seem to get to the point where I want to be part of the theater and be getting paid for like regular productions. Yep. Is this ever going to happen? Or I don't want to be hustling anymore. Like, I'm tired of the hustling and trying to get things.
Okay.
Like audition after audition, you understand, like, of course you don't get everything and you need to go out there, but there's a point. How long am I going to be doing this?
Yeah. Okay. I hear you. I hear you.
Yeah.
So what I want to say is I want to talk a little bit about exoneration. This is maybe not the kind of answer you wanted. So let me say this piece and we can talk to the practical side.
Yeah.
But I get it, especially when we're young, we're especially impatient. And this whole idea of paying your dues and all of that is like, ah. But there's a fantasy that many of us have, and I know I had this, the fantasy in my head, and I was trained as a cellist. I thought, oh, I'm going to get a doctorate and I'm going to teach at the university level. I'm going to have a tenure track job, play lots of chamber music, and I'm going to be set for life. It's going to be magic, right? Like that really, like I just thought, oh, that'd be beautiful. I just have to tell you that I am living proof that in life you can get exactly what you want, only to find out, whoa, it's not the way I thought it was going to be. And
Right.
that's exactly what happened to me. I got one and then a second job like this, and I fell into a horrible depression. And it wasn't that the jobs were terrible. It was just that, whoa, this turned out not to be the right thing. I had to
Mm-hmm.
course correct. The reason I'm telling you this is a lot of times we have this fantasy that we're going to get to a certain point in our careers and we won't have to hustle anymore, or we won't be facing these fears because we will have arrived, right? Or we won't have to be striving or pushing past. And that is a fantasy because
Mm.
um, the only way to grow as an artist, to continually grow, is to put yourself in these positions where you're unsure, where you're scared, where you're trying something new. So that's
Right.
that's the mindset piece of this, just to realize now there's no exoneration.
Okay.
And you can think of any of your favorite artists and realize, whoa, they were pushing. They were at the edge, right? And were they scared? Yes, they were scared. So this thing about the audition and not getting where you want to get. Okay, so I'm thinking about a workshop that I gave for singers. This might have been one of the graduate programs at NEC. I don't know. Can't remember where this
Mm-hmm.
was, but we were talking about like next steps, like action steps. What are people imagining for their future? And what I can't remember what the question was exactly, but when I went around the room to find out like what people were thinking about after graduation, every single person said, I'm going to audition for all of the, young artist programs and blah, blah, blah. It was like the same damn thing. And okay, if we know that that's what everybody and his brother is doing, and you're a commodity in that case for only a sliver of opportunities, you're putting all your eggs in that one basket. And
Mm.
meanwhile, how are you growing creatively?
Right.
So that's when I usually start to ask people about, okay, what about recital work? What about oratorio work? What are other things that you are doing to advance your artistry? And what could you create, especially now, right? There aren't live concerts right now. What are online things that you could get going on that actually push you creatively? So I was
Mm-hmm.
talking to an ensemble yesterday, um, and they haven't done their own arrangements. They haven't done much composing, and they're just saying, like one member of the group said, "Do you guys all compose?" Like they're like thinking, "Okay, how can we make something happen?" So that's the challenge. That's the quest, for the hero's journey for you to think about, okay, what can I make happen? All right.
Yes.
Good.
Thank you so
Good.
much.
Yeah, I'm glad to see you're smiling. Yeah. Yeah, you're welcome, Elizabeth. Okay, other questions? I'm looking in the chat. Oh, people are loving your hair. Elizabeth, this is good. Hustle is forever. Yep. Would it be okay to reach out to you by email? Okay, yes, I am. We're gonna put my website up. I don't know, I was gonna tell you this. Where you can find out how to reach me. Um, again, my beautiful high-tech stuff. That's angelabeeching.com. Beeching has 2 E's. And I know I said I was promising you guys something, a little gift. On the landing page, you'll see you can sign up for my, what I call the 5-step startup guide. Oh, thanks, Dane, for putting that in. 5-step startup guide. It's PDF. And I was looking at it through it the other day because I was thinking, oh, is this helpful for people where they are right now? And I was talking about this with my web person, and she said, yeah, we're both looking at it again and say, oh, I think this is helpful for where people are right now. So it's gives you some tips for getting some traction going, because that's the start to actually making things move forward. Good. Other questions? We have a little bit of time left. Anybody else? I know these are all singers. I know you guys aren't shy. Come on. There should be. Anybody? I'm happy to take questions. No, not seen anything yet. Oh, yay. Mike is raising his hand. Can I unmute you? There you are. Oh,
There we go. I
okay.
thought I muted the audio and it didn't work the first time. So thank you so much, Angela, for meeting with us today. It's fantastic. Uh,
Great.
a question for you. So you were mentioning how you were thinking about teaching cello and how that career path eventually didn't reveal itself to be the most satisfying for you. So then, on the other hand, what was the moment you kind of realized your current path started to come into focus, or how did that sort of come about?
Okay. All right. I wasn't planning on telling my hero's journey, but I'll give you the Reader's Digest version of it. So when I was in grad school, I had this dream of the university teaching job, all of that. I was going along, but I complained to the music department, and I just, any other complainers here? Any raise hands if other people, I'm seeing a few hands. Yeah, I know what this is like. So I complained to the chair of the music department. This was a long time ago. They didn't have any kind of career center or entrepreneurship programs back then. And I said, we had, the university had a regular career center, but nothing specific for the music department. And I thought we should have some way to get resources to help write grants, learn how to fundraise, book our own tours, that kind of thing. And that was my complaint. So the the chair of the department heard all of this, and he said to me, write us a proposal. And I didn't even know what a proposal was, but I wrote something up and I sent it in, and they turned around and they said, we're going to make this your teaching assistantship. You get to start this thing. And not what I was expecting to hear, but smart on their part. They got cheap labor and I was very motivated. I learned a lot, right? I never thought that was going to turn around and bite me in the butt, because I was dead set on finishing the doctorate and getting the job, right? And that's what I did. But when later on, when I was in those jobs and I was getting burnt out, I thought, I need to figure out something else. And I really was at that all is lost moment. Where's our handy little chart? I was in the pit of despair. I really didn't recognize even who I was, because all of my identity was wrapped around being a cellist and teaching at a university. So it took me a while to come through that, and with a lot of help from friends, all of that good stuff. I was back in Boston, and a job opened up at New England Conservatory running the career center there. And because I had that experience, and at that time there weren't very many people who did, I ended up getting the job. And I took it thinking, oh, I'll do this for a year or two until I figure out what I really need to do with my life. And I just found that I really love this work, because I discovered that fascination with like helping people, individuals, and find their own paths is just, it's addicting. So that's how I ended up doing this work, and I wrote the book and all of that stuff. And now that I'm in private practice, I never thought that I would do that. It was sort of like I was teaching entrepreneurship, but I always had it as a side hustle. And the best thing is not being with an institution. That's like, whew, it's freeing and scary, and the learning curve is so great, but it's been fun because I work both with individual musicians, and I do small group work, 4 musicians at a time in a power group. So yeah, but thanks. I think sometimes people, um, well, what do I want to say about this? When people are going through a shift in their careers or trying to figure out their path, there is often a feeling of, I want to jump to that place of knowing where I'm going to be, right? That we're in that uncomfortable period. We're in the belly of the beast and we haven't figured it out yet. And we want to fast forward through that, but I'll tell you, I don't know of any way to do that. The things that can help is by talking to people, reading inspiring things, networking with people outside your comfort zone, and remembering things that you've done in the past that have been rewarding, and thinking, oh, is there a piece of that that might lead me to that next opportunity. Great. Thanks, Mike. All right, we have another hand up. I don't know who this is. So it's an iPhone. Have I
Lisa.
unmuted some? Ah, Lisa. Okay. Can you put your video on?
Oh, sure.
Do I see you? I don't see you. Let me go over here. Oh, yay. Okay. Thank you. Good. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Can
Sure.
you please clarify, repeat in short, the objective of the third tool?
Oh, so I think I taught two. I taught you loss processing and grateful flow. Was there
Yes.
a third one?
There was an exercise that we did where there was light in. I just wanted to get that clarified. The very last exercise we did.
I think that was grateful flow.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, grateful flow. And that's, if you go to thetoolsbook.com, you can find on their website, if you go look on their blog, you can find the written out explanation of grateful flow, right? And very often they have interviews with some of their patients about this, or you can hear them talking you through it. Yeah, because for me, I mean, the whole point of the tools is to know them so well that you can do it in your head mentally, just in the moment. And these can actually be done very quickly, right? It's just in a matter of seconds, you can shift that negative thought, right? That's going on in there. For me, some of these tools I've learned best by actually recording versions of these. Like either me or a friend will read it out loud, and then I'll play back the recording. So it's a way like that you have that like lodged in the back of your head, that you can hear it, you can get yourself in that state. Great.
Thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome, Lisa. Good. Any other questions? All right, I see something from Emma. She says, I have to say that making your own opportunities is also not what it sounds like. It's a lot of work, and sometimes that work takes away from your actual practice. Do you have any advice for someone who has found organization to be too draining for it to be a way to create a satisfying career? Okay, that's a big question, Emma. Where are you? Maybe we could talk. Oh, can you unmute yourself? Oops. I think you're unmuted now.
Yeah. Can you hear
Great.
me?
Yep,
Okay.
yep. Great. So excellent question. I have to say, having run a couple of entrepreneurship centers at music schools, first of all, I'm very familiar with this question, and you're talking about a real reality.
Yeah.
This is not easy. And there's also not, just like anything else, there's no guaranteed paycheck at the other end, right? These are things that people do. So often when I talk to people about careers in music, I will see if I can draw this. This is the kind of simple diagram that I'm really good at. Two sides of the playing field. There's the entrepreneurial side over here where you are making something happen. And there's on this side what I would call traditional careers. What I mean by traditional careers is anything you could apply for. It's an opportunity that someone else has created.
Yeah.
And the reality is most professional musicians find that they need to have a foot in each camp, right? And because some kind of day job, some kind of thing that has some predictability in it. And on this side is where there's more risk, right? But the depends on the risk that you sign up for and what it is you want to create. So if what I just want to say is, if it's, let's just send a practical example. Let's say you had some repertoire that you really wanted to perform and you wanted to build a little bit more of your reputation and maybe work with some particular artists. So you could say, well, okay, I want to produce my own concert, or I want to do that in collaboration with a partnering organization. So you might say to yourself, okay, how can I minimize the work that I'm taking on here? Who can I partner with to make this a little easier? And if it's the first time out, what's the easiest beta version of this that I could do? Then I think all of this is a matter of testing, right?
Yeah.
See, okay, are some of these uncomfortable skills things that I could get better or faster with, or can I delegate it to somebody else? But that's the game that everybody ends up having to play. You're absolutely right. It's not a panacea.
Yeah.
Maybe the most important part of it, though, from my point of view, is that too often I run into musicians who have a creative dream, like a creative project at the back of their head that they have talked themselves out of even trying. Because often the first thing that comes up is it's too much time, it's too expensive, I don't know what I'm doing, whatever, as opposed to, oh, can't I, can't I do a version of this, even just to satisfy my own creative yearning? Like that's where the growth happens, artistically and in all aspects. So that's what I am most worried about, people not going after things. Okay?
Yeah.
Right. Thanks for asking. I know we're at time, Dane, right? I think we were supposed to just do an hour.
Yeah, we are right at the end. I saw one more question. It came from Natalie Connor. How do you find that balance between pushing yourself to always keep improving and growing, but still having grace for yourself?
Oh boy, that's a good one. That came from Natalie?
Yes. Hi.
Hi. Great question, Natalie. Okay. Oh boy, I wish I had a magic bullet for this, right? Like, wouldn't that be great? Like the pill that would just, so one thing I want to say is checking in with yourself is one way of knowing, am I on burnout? And asking yourself, in a given day, what am I going to do for myself to renew myself creatively? Right? So a lot of times I'm like full on with a project. I'm just like, go, 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 go. And I'll feel guilty, if I take some time off, like, which is ridiculous because that time, like to go and take a walk, is actually when you get new ideas. And getting enough sleep and taking care of yourself is so important for the long haul. So if you know that you have a tendency to go on overdrive, then I would experiment with trying to schedule in, like we were talking about the importance of structured time, schedule in the walks or whatever it is that helps. And if you're looking ahead, I usually recommend to clients, like on a Sunday afternoon or Sunday evening, planning for what's coming in the week, to ask yourself, okay, what am I doing that is actually creatively renewing? Is there some special thing that I could plan for? Does that help?
Yeah. Thank you so much. Appreciate that.
All right. Great. Okay, so I just want to say to everybody, thank you so much for participating. These questions have been wonderful, and I loved seeing people's responses to the tools. That's just great. Um, just a reminder, if you want to find information about me or my work online, it's angelabeeching.com. Beeching has 2 E's. And on the landing page, there is you'll see it, a little sign up so you can get the 5-step startup guide. And yeah, I would love to see you online. I have a weekly Facebook group, that might also be helpful. So people are writing, thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate it. This has been wonderful. Thank you, Dane. Thank
Yes.
you. Thank you,
Thank you,
Alex.
Angela, for joining us. This is a topic that Alex and I really love. Sometimes in the music world and in artistry as general, business and entrepreneurship is something that doesn't get talked about enough. And going out and creating your own opportunities and stuff. So we really like to push that here at CS, to help singers get all the opportunities that they can possibly get. So thank you so much for bringing this to us today. I'm looking at the schedule here. It looks like our next master class, hold on, I lost my schedule here, is going to be on Thursday, April 9th. Yes, Thursday, April 9th, from the director of the UCA Opera Theater, Robert Holden. So hopefully you guys can all join us for that one. Again, this will be uploaded to YouTube as well. And then also we'll be sending out an email with all the information that Angela gave us. So thank you guys for joining us, and we will hopefully catch you in the next one. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.